From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Laddie Williams.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, another batch of 266 Nigerians evacuated from South Africa arrived Lagos aboard an Air Peace charter flight as the ongoing evacuation exercises continue. Inspector General of Police Olatunji Disu visits Osun State, warns residents against all forms of violence ahead of the governorship election in the state. And the push to unlock Nigeria's mining potential gathers momentum as the Solid Minerals Minister and lawmakers demand full implementation of the sector's budget. And Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk warns of critical months ahead of Russian threat, cites U.S. intelligence report. And on sports news, Nigeria's the Tigers secures a thrilling 80-79 victory over Guinea, who have been unbeaten in the FIBA Basketball World Cup qualifiers.
On business news, Securities and Exchange Commission clears 7 additional crypto and fintech companies for entry into its regulatory sandbox, the latest step to bring digital investment platforms under formal oversight.
And from the nation's capital, the federal government is intensifying efforts to tackle Nigeria's learning crisis by conducting a nationwide learning assessment aimed at measuring literacy, numeracy, and cognitive skills.
And migration issues lead us off tonight as the evacuation of Nigerians continue. Another 266 returnees have landed in Lagos aboard an Air Peace charter flight. The fresh arrival pushes the total number of Nigerians repatriated under the ongoing exercise to over 800, amid continued efforts by the federal government to ensure safe return following recent xenophobic attacks. Authorities say the evacuation exercise will continue until all affected citizens are safely brought home.
The fourth batch of Nigerians evacuated from South Africa arriving the cargo terminal of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. Women and children file out of the Air Peace aircraft, bringing the total number of returnees to more than 800.
We provide durable solutions. We will profile them, ensure we identify or establish their vulnerabilities, and then of course their skills, if they had skills there, what we can improve on or identify those without skills. And if there are children to be placed in schools, we have to interface with Ministry of Education, that is also a member of the Stakeholders Forum for Returns.
For many on this flight, this journey marks the end of a painful chapter, with one returnee insisting the protests targeting foreigners were carefully planned.
For a moment you called it a home, and suddenly nobody wants you to be there any longer. Not by your own choice, but indirectly state designed. You apply for permit and it never came out. It's not your fault. But that's just the reason why you can no longer do anything. You cannot access healthcare, you cannot access bank, you cannot access even a portion to do business on.
There is no time you live peaceful. But recent time, it's worse. You can't do anything without fear. Even where you do your business, you are fear. You are always looking whether they are coming to kill you, or whether they are coming to shoot you, or whether police is coming, because even police can even come and take advantage.
Amid the emotional homecoming comes a moment of hope. 10-year-old Joshua, who has never been to Nigeria, says life in South Africa spells suffering.
We are suffering in South Africa. They're making problems. They're making match for match. They're making people to don't sell in South Africa. That's why I come back home.
So how does it feel?
Nice.
Despite the passing of the June 30 deadline, the Nigerian government has assured the public that the evacuation pipelines remain active for cleared citizens.
And away from migration now, amid the rising political tension in Osun State, the Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu, read the Riot Act to residents of the state as warned against all forms of violence. The police chief is also vowing to deal with perpetrators of violence and anyone disturbing the peace of the state. He wants parents to speak to their wards as he declares that the police will not condone any form of violence ahead of the election. I'll bring you more on that story later on. And staying with politics, the APC governorship candidate, Senator Sharafuddin Ali, has officially received the Independent National Electoral Commission nomination certificate as the party's candidate for the 2027 election. Addressing party members during the presentation of the document in Jericho area of Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, the APC flag bearer also used the occasion to call for a united front now that the party has clear direction concerning its candidates across the state.
It is now official. The APC in Oyo State has confirmed all its candidates for the 2027 general elections, completing its lineup with the presentation of the INEC nomination certificate to its governorship candidate, Senator Sharafuddin Ali. Senator Ali received the certificate alongside his running mate, Adesoji Adedeji, at a ceremony attended by party leaders, candidates and representatives from across the state. Presenting the INEC nomination certificate, APC Deputy National Auditor Benga Olayemi describes Ali as the party's flag bearer and charges members to rally behind him. In his acceptance speech, Senator Ali described his emergence as a collective victory, commending party members for a peaceful primary process and pledging an inclusive, accountable administration if elected.
I pledge to you today that I will remain accessible, I will remain accountable, I will remain a good listener, I will listen to the marketplace as attentively as I listen to the government. And by the grace of Almighty Allah, I will never take your trust for granted.
Party leaders at the event also bear their minds on Senator Ali's emergence, noting that it represents the desire of the majority.
They have no competitor. Others are just fulfilling processes. There is no competitor as far as I'm concerned. Whatever that is happening from other parties, they are just part of the processes to complete national election processes. APC all the way.
A party does not look at certain parameters that people look at. The party looks at who can deliver this election. It's not necessarily about who has been longest in the party. It's not necessarily about age. It is about popularity within the party and outside the party.
The event also drew the party's senatorial, House of Representatives and House of Assembly candidates, as well as representatives from all 33 local government areas, signaling the APC's readiness for the 2027 campaigns. Bukola Uriowo, Channels Television News.
And turning now to governance and economic policy, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, as well as the leadership of both the Senate and House of Representatives Committees on Solid Minerals Development, are calling for the implementation of the budgetary allocation for the solid minerals sector in Nigeria. They made the call during the 2026 annual Solid Minerals Development Ministerial Retreat in Abuja. Committee chairman noted that while an ambitious 1 trillion Naira target has been given to the sector, there's not much support to actualize the goal, as capital component is not being provided. Our correspondent Kumbi Abuluwade reports.
This annual Solid Minerals Development Ministerial Retreat, taking place in Abuja, is being organized to collectively review deliverables in the sector, identify implementation gaps, while aligning it with the presidential mandate for the sector. The Ministry of Solid Minerals Development had, on assumption of office, outlined 7 key priority areas for the sector, and this gathering is here to assess the implementation so far. However, lawmakers present at the event raised concerns over the non-implementation of the budgetary allocation for the ministry and how it has affected the effectiveness of the ministry.
An ambitious budget of 1 trillion was given to this sector. But the capital component, how much has been released to this sector? And it is these funds that we would use to be able to take this sector to the next level. I make proud to boast that if this sector is given the finance it requires, if it does not overtake oil in terms of revenue generation, it will only be a small fraction that will be between them.
We took concrete steps and we got substantial appropriations for the sector. The time has come for meaningful implementation of what we have fought for in the National Assembly. We cannot diversify without giving meaningful attention to the sector in Nigeria.
Mr. Dele Alake, in his submission, also faulted the ministry's budgetary allocation to the current outcome of the sector, particularly the issue of illegal mining.
Combating illegal mining and enhancing sectoral security. If we had the correct budgetary backing in terms of implementation, which you call cash backing, we had plans to even bring in drones to strengthen the capacity of the mine marshals, not to talk of armored vehicles, armored vests, and high-grade arms and ammunition. We have all of that laid out. So the moment we receive the cash backing necessary, we roll out.
He goes further to issue a warning to companies who have failed to implement the Community Development Agreement with their host communities.
I did ask the PS to get me the list of those companies, and he has done so. We are going to take very drastic measures very soon.
With over 40 types of mineral deposits in the country, the ambitious sector is described as the key to Nigeria's economic diversification. However, challenges such as funding will have to be addressed for the actualization of that goal. From the nation's capital, Kumbi Abuluwade, Channels Television News.
And to legal matters now, the Supreme Court has overturned a Court of Appeal judgment that ordered the seizure of an oil vessel and its cargo belonging to General Hydrocarbons Limited, GHL, in a dispute with First Bank of Nigeria over an alleged breach of contract. In a unanimous decision, a 5-member panel of the Apex Court directed that the vessel and proceeds from the sale of its crude oil cargo be returned to GHL, describing the seizure as legally unfounded. The Supreme Court ruled that the Federal High Court lacked jurisdiction to entertain the matter as a maritime dispute, noting that the case was purely contractual and financial in nature. The court held that First Bank had no legal basis to seize the vessel or dispose of its cargo to recover an alleged debt. It also imposed a 5 million naira cost against the bank oil vessel confiscation. And in part 2, after the break, an early morning inferno ravages a popular Bode market in Ibadan, destroying more than 100 shops and goods worth millions of naira. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Another batch of 266 Nigerians evacuated from South Africa arrived Lagos aboard an Air Peace charter flight as the ongoing evacuation exercise continues. Inspector General of Police Olatunji Disu visits Osun State, warns residents against all forms of violence ahead of the governorship elections in the state. And the push to unlock Nigeria's mining potential gathers momentum as the Solid Minerals Minister and lawmakers demand full implementation of the sector's budget. Also tonight, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk warns of critical months ahead of Russian threat, cites U.S. intelligence report. And to another top story tonight, an early morning inferno ravages the popular Bode market in Ibadan, destroying more than 100 shops and goods worth millions of naira. Residents say the inferno started in the early hours of Friday, leaving many traders stranded and counting their losses. Eyewitnesses and victims said the inferno engulfed several shops, destroying goods, property, and means of livelihood accumulated over many years. The director of operation, Oyo State Fire Service, Ismail Adeleke, said that a distress call was received and firefighters immediately mobilized to the scene to douse the inferno.
Immediately we received the call. So as the director of operation, I mobilized my men. I deployed them to the scene of incident. But once we learned that the fire has already well alighted, so I still mobilized more men. So in order to make sure that we extinguish the fire without spreading to unaffected properties here. And if you look at the situation now presently, you will see that we've already extinguished the fire. So we have been working here since that time, and working assiduously here. And then people also in this surrounding, they can testify to it, the kind of the job that the fire service has done here.
And elsewhere, security and counterterrorism expert Bulama Bukati has praised the withdrawal of United States troops from Nigeria, adding that there's no need for the U.S. Army to form a base in the country. Mr. Bukati, however, says the intelligence gathered by the U.S. troops must be transferred to the Nigerian Army in order to enable them to sustain the fight against terrorists and terrorism. We're speaking as a guest in our political program, Politics Today.
I think Trump's interest with the troops deployment was more narrow and more parochial and more personal, Sheun. I think Trump deployed the troops because he wanted to portray himself as a protector of Christianity for his base in America. And even though these troops were posted to the northeast, where we know most of the victims have been Muslims, Christians have been killed. I mean, the Boko Haram, we know that doesn't separate anyone from anyone. They don't ask people their religion or their tribe or their part of the country. But even now, Trump said he was withdrawing because he has stopped the slaughter of Christians. I think, like I said on your program previously, Trump doesn't care about Nigerian lives. What he cares about is his politics. And for him, he was playing politics. But someone like me was okay with the deployment because I knew that America has capacities and capabilities that we do not have as Nigeria. But my preference has always been and is right now that we need intelligence and the unique American capability to be transferred to the Nigerian troops so that we fight our own battles, we fight our own wars with the support of our friends. We don't want any permanent American base in Nigeria, and that's why I was very happy to hear that they have withdrawn their troops. But I was also happy then to hear that the Americans are saying, we are not abandoning Nigeria. We will continue the intelligence cooperation. We will continue the training.
In Rivers State, tension is rising in LMA local government area over allegations of land grabbing. Gunshots were reportedly heard across parts of LMA on Thursday night an incident many residents linked to the dispute, although the police are yet to comment. Earlier in the day, before the shooting, the chairman of LMA local government area, Mr. Barry Lomateolo, announced a temporary ban on the activities of real estate companies, warning against the takeover of ancestral lands pending investigations and council chairman's approval.
We have convened this press conference to address the alarming and persistent attacks and acts of illegal land invasion along Woji, Aleto, Alesa Link Road and at Bonchia Akpajo axis of the Port Harcourt Ring Road, Okobala, Agbonchia. These criminal elements terrorize innocent women, youths, and farmers, wield dangerous weapons, inflict physical assaults, extort lawful landowners, and create an atmosphere of fear and insecurity within our communities. The said lands are duly gazetted by the government, and all relevant legal documents establishing their status are available, including the white paper report of the Honorable Justice Granville Judicial Commission of Inquiry into the Eleme Oguokrika communal conflict and the 1957 Supreme Court judgment, which provides, among other things, that the ultimate and radical title to the entire parcel of land up to the water's edge is vested in the LMS, and that all future projects cited by either the federal or state governments and companies in the area should bear the name of LMA.
All right, I'll hand over now to our team in Abuja for more top stories there with Gloria Umezuke. Hello, Gloria.
Thank you, Ladi. Well, here in Abuja, we begin with the federal government intensifying efforts to tackle Nigeria's learning crisis by conducting a nationwide learning assessment aimed at measuring pupils' literacy, numeracy, and cognitive skills. The Minister of Education, Mr. Tunji Alausa, declared that the exercise will provide the data needed to reform the country's education system. The Minister of Education stated this in Abuja shortly after monitoring the National Learning Assessment at Government Secondary School, Kuje, Government Junior Secondary School, Kuje Central, and Tobza Model Primary School, Kango.
I've been going around to monitor our National Learning Assessment. The National Learning Assessment is to test the level of understanding of our students in certain areas of core subjects. We're doing it we're conducting the National Learning Assessment for primary 3 and 5, and then GSS 2 and GSS 3, SS 2. And in SS2 and in the senior secondary school, we're doing English, maths, and cognitive, checking their cognitive level. And in SS2, we're doing English, maths, and basic science. At the primary school, we're doing English, maths, and non-cognitive science and non-cognitive part of their learning and basic science. This is all directed to check the numeracy and literacy rate of these students. We haven't had a national learning assessment done in a while. The last one was done in 2023 by UBEC, and the previous one before that was done in 2019 by the Federal Ministry of Education. On the average, learning assessment for any education system in the country should be done every 3 years.
And over to Kaduna State, where the government has taken a major step towards addressing decades of environmental degradation in Rigasa community of Igabi local government area of the state with the groundbreaking of a 34 billion naira erosion control project, where Governor Obasani performed the flag-off ceremony, highlighting the plan to restore the damaged parts of the communities and improve environment for thousands of residents.
Governor Uba Sani of Kaduna State arrived Rigasa to officially perform the groundbreaking ceremony for the 34 billion naira erosion control project in the company of his deputy, Mrs. Hadiza Balarabe, and the Minister of Environment, Mr. Balarabe Abbas. The site has had a diverse effect on the densely populated communities in Rigasa, in Igabi local government area, who have been battling the degradation. The invention by the state government is expected to reverse the environmental challenges in the area and provide lasting protection for residents.
This intervention is therefore not only timely, it is transformative. Upon completion, these flood and gully erosion control structures will substantially reduce the risks associated with flooding and land degradation.
The project is scheduled for completion within 18 months and is expected to directly benefit more than 2 million people along the affected corridor. However, the Kaduna State government is spending over 2 billion naira as compensation and resettlement support for more than 1,000 families affected by the construction project.
This happening today is historic, and we believe that it will go a long way in trying to address the issue of environmental degradation in Rigasa and many other areas. What you are seeing is not only limited to Rigasa, it's going to extend beyond Rigasa.
Here, we have given out about 2 billion to all the affected assets, that their houses were affected, and as a government, we believe we must always run ourselves human face of the people of Rigasa, Igabi local government, Kaduna State, and humanity.
Governor Sani performed the symbolical flagging off ceremony for the project to the delight of the residents.
It's my project, it's my community, so I'm very happy and highly elated for the governor to come and commission this project, and also to give compensation to my people.
The issue of gully erosion has been lingering for more than 3 decades in Rigasa. It has taken so many lives, destroyed so many properties.
As the Rigasa Erosion Control Project commences, it is expected that it will improve environmental safety, protect critical infrastructure, and reduce the risk of future disasters for millions of residents across the affected communities. Still ahead on the news at 10, Securities and Exchange Commission clears 7 additional crypto and fintech companies for entry into its regulatory sandbox, the latest step to bring digital investment platforms under formal oversight. Well, that's in business news. Please join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. To company news. Telecommunications Infrastructure Company, IHS Nigeria Limited, is partnering with the Federal Capital Territory Administration to distribute cooking gas cylinders to 10,000 beneficiaries free of charge across the 6 area councils of the nation's capital to replace firewood and charcoal. Distribution at the grand finale reached over 12,000 households, which the management of the company says underscores efforts to tackle indoor air pollution. The FCT Mandate Secretary for Health Services and Environmental Secretariat, Dr. Adedolapo Fashawe, commended and appreciated the FCT Minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike, for his visionary leadership, which paves way for impactful partnership and collaboration with IHS Nigeria Limited.
Joy fills the air as residents across the 6 area councils of the Federal Capital Territory gather at the Buhari Council Stadium for the grand finale of the Project Breathe Clean Air Abuja initiative, which featured the distribution of cooking gas cylinders to 10,000 beneficiaries. Ceremony has in attendance the FCT Mandate Secretary in charge of Health Services and Environment Secretariat and officials of the Telecommunications Infrastructure Company, IHS Nigeria Limited, including traditional rulers among other stakeholders. The project aims to promote the adoption of clean cooking gas as a safer and healthier alternative to firewood and charcoal.
The launch of this initiative in November 2025, we stated our commitment to our partnership with the FCTA Health and Environment Secretariat. I am pleased to see today how this has delivered on the objective which, for us, is a reaffirmation of our commitment to our sustainability objectives.
The initiative goes beyond just distributing cylinders. It provides beneficiaries with free gas insurance and conducts extensive sensitization campaigns on the safe use of gas and the health risk associated with firewood.
Regular citizens of the states, the first 2,000 beneficiaries of the gas cylinders were brought into the insurance program for a year. So they will get free health services pursuant to the contracts that we have with the healthcare providers.
The program targets households that rely mostly on firewood and charcoal.
Now, this is the Abuja Breathe Clean Air Initiative. This initiative was founded under the administration of Barrister Yeltsin Wike. We started 2 years ago, and the essence really is to address air pollution, especially indoor air pollution. Hence the partnership between us and IHS Towers of Strength. It is indeed very heartwarming that we have been able to replace firewood and coal in over 12,500 households.
After the speeches, officials flag off the symbolic distribution of the cooking gas cylinders to the delight of the beneficiaries.
We appreciate the IHS for what you did to us. We are very, very grateful and happy. We are not going to use firewood again, neither we are not going to use charcoal.
The FCT administration is promising to measure progress across sustainability pillars, reduce emissions, and improve health outcomes.
The Bank of Industry has released its 2026 Annual Development Impacts Report, revealing a historic 644.9 billion naira in loan disbursements to various businesses across Nigeria. The management of the bank believes that the capital rollout has impacted more than 7,000 enterprises across critical sectors, marking the largest single-year disbursement in the history of the bank. The newly released 2025 Development Impact Report of the Bank of Industry underscores the bank's aggressive drive to cushion local businesses from inflationary shocks through affordable, long-tenured financing. The year 2025 served as a foundational period for the Bank of Industry as it navigated a Nigerian economy showing signs of resurgence with a real GDP growth of 3.98%. According to the report, a total of 644.9 billion naira was disbursed within the year, as the managing director of the bank, Mr. Olashopo Olusi, says the performance demonstrates the bank's continued commitment to supporting enterprises and creating jobs.
Our interventions translated into tangible impact by supporting millions of jobs, reducing carbon emission, strengthening digital and other infrastructure, and empowering women and youth. This work has been guided by a clear conviction. Development finance must be inclusive, it must be sustainable, and it must be transformational.
It isn't just about domestic numbers. The 2025 fiscal year saw the bank firmly plant its flag on the global stage, opening a new pipeline for international green and climate financing, while the federal government is promising improved partnership with the bank.
There is one institution that I think our development partners need to continue to support because of its credibility and its impact. Again, I think it's the Bank of Industry.
It is our ability to mobilize investment at the scale our ambitions demand. The answer cannot come from government alone, nor from development partners acting independently. It requires a new compact founded on shared responsibility, shared prosperity, and shared confidence in Nigeria's future.
We believe we have young people that if they are able to access finances, trainings, and opportunity, they will build a successful business and create more jobs for themselves.
The report indicates that as commercial interest rates hover near 30%, the Bank of Industry remains a critical lifeline for affordable capital, steering Nigeria closer to sustainable industrialization.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Laddie, in Lagos.
Thank you, Gloria. All right, to other company news now. Dangote Cement PLC held its 17th annual general meeting at the Court Hilton Suites in Lagos. The gathering of stakeholders, shareholders, auditors, and top management is serving as a platform for the board to present the 2025 financial scorecard, outline future productivity goals, and approve a dividend of 45 naira per share.
Figures being released at the AGM are revealing a giant leap for Nigeria's most capitalized cement company, which is posting a total revenue of 4.306 trillion naira. This performance is reflecting a 43.4% increase in profit before tax and a 101.7% surge in profit after tax, culminating in an approved 45 naira per share payout.
I hereby declare that the resolution to declare a dividend of 45 naira per share in respect of the period ended 31st December 2025 and payment of the dividend from retained earnings as of December 31st, 2025 has been carried.
We acknowledge the cooperation of the board, management and staff in the conduct of these responsibilities. After careful consideration of the report of the external auditors, we accepted the report that the financial statements give a true and fair view of the state of the group and company's financial affairs as at 31st December 2025.
As the statutory audit report is being presented, management is outlining its strategy to drive operational efficiency and make Africa self-sufficient in cement production.
The Dangote's plan for the next year is to ensure that we grow our plants across Africa and start exporting cement to other African countries who are currently importing from China, Turkey, and other parts of the world. We want to be the champion of Africa, and that is why our legacy is to ensure that Africa is self-sufficient in cement production.
The group has rolled out a 2030 vision, which is of $100 billion sales revenue. And in line with that, we have also drawn our vision, which is in synchronization with what group has. And we intend to grow from 55 million to 80 million tons.
Shareholders are expressing satisfaction with the 2025
Chairman.
financial performance, attributing the success to prudent management across all aspects of the organization.
Now we have gone into Cote d'Ivoire, apart from Tanzania and many other countries that Dangote Cement is expanding. And this expansion in the long run will make sure that we make more profit.
Dangote, from what I've seen, I will be there for me tomorrow, which means that even when I'm gone tomorrow, my children will inherit something that will say, oh, thank you when I'm gone, even when I'm gone. So thank you, Father, because you left something for us.
Looking ahead, Dangote Cement is planning to add 25 million tons to its production capacity. The company is focusing on consolidating its African footprint and delivering sustainable, long-term value to shareholders through targeted investments in cleaner energy and logistics.
All right, so see the final trading day of this week. That's over now. Let's see how your money performed with Dominic.
Thank you, Laddie. And on business news, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has cleared 7 new fintech and digital asset firms for admission into its Accelerated Regulatory Incubation Program, ARIP, granting them approval in principle AIP to operate within the program's regulatory sandbox. The firms include Beta Bata Technologies, Luno Fintech Nigeria, Get Equity, Coin Global Network, Wrapped CBDC, Trovotech, and Blockvote Custodian. In a statement issued today, the capital market regulator says the approval in principle confirms that each company has satisfied the admission requirements for participation in the program. SEC explains that the move, which is its latest step in bringing digital investment platforms under formal oversight, is part of efforts to promote innovation while protecting investors. And back home, Nigeria's equities market reversed its recent losses to close the week on a bullish note as renewed buying interest across banking, oil and gas and other large cap stocks pushed the market back into positive territory. Inijo Mekwa tells us more.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, analysts say that prices have become very attractive at the NGX following these many sessions of losses on the stock prices. And so today, we saw investors flocking in with a lot of money. And first of all, they settled on Airtel Africa. Today, Airtel Africa gained 479 naira 40 kobo. And that brought the closing price to 5,264 naira for a share. That's a lot of money. That's if you have recovered from the losses of the previous sessions. But it's not just Airtel. We see other top gainers by value, top trades by value. Zenith Bank brought in 5 billion naira. MTN Nigeria, 4 billion naira. Aradel, which has seen a lot of profit taking, brought in 3 billion naira. Putting this and other gains together, we saw that investors brought in more than 3 trillion naira at the close of trade today. And of course, the all share is up 2.19% and market cap is at 147.1 trillion naira. So I know it's going to be a great weekend because it's the bull we're living on the floor of the exchange.
Thank you, Ini. We're in business news with some numbers from major global stock markets. And that's it on business news. Back to Ladi for the rest of the news at 10.
Right to stories outside our shores now. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk says his country is preparing for various scenarios and that the coming months could be critical concerning the threat from Russia. Simon Pusey has the story on others. Take a listen.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. A Ukrainian woman identified as the main suspect for a parcel bombing in Monaco was disguised as a man, according to the city's state's deputy prosecutor. Anastasia Berezovska is suspected of leaving a package in the entrance hall of an apartment building before fleeing the scene on foot and then driving to Germany. A sanctioned Ukrainian multimillionaire, his partner and 13-year-old son are the reported victims of the attack, which left them seriously injured. An Interpol red notice has been issued for Berezovska, who speaks German and is wanted for attempted murder. A man has been rescued alive after being trapped for 8 days in the rubble of a building that collapsed after twin earthquakes in Venezuela. Emergency workers managed to free Hernan Gil more than 100 hours after they had first located him under 140 tons of rubble. Venezuela's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, visited Gil in hospital, calling him a living miracle in a video shared on social media. At least 2,595 people are confirmed to have died in the quakes, which hit Venezuela on the 24th of June, with tens of thousands still missing. Iran has begun several days of public mourning and funeral processions for its former supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, more than 4 months after he was killed in strikes launched by the US and Israel. The former Ayatollah's body will lie in state in Tehran's Grand Mosala from Friday ahead of his burial in his hometown of Mashhad next Thursday. Officials have said the funeral could draw up to 20 million mourners from across Iran. It comes as Iran and the United States observe a fragile ceasefire after signing a preliminary deal to halt their conflict in June. 3 people have been sentenced to life in prison by a South African court for the kidnapping, robbing and murder of a British couple in February 2018. Rachel Saunders and her husband Rodney were kidnapped while in the Ngoyi forest. The British botanists had been collecting indigenous plants and seeds before their bodies were found days later in a river. Safidim Aslam Del Vecchio, his wife Fatima Patel, and Malawian national Ahmad Musa were convicted of the murders last month and were each sentenced to 2 life terms. A trial of potential treatments for the species of virus behind the current deadly Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo has begun. The first patient has been enrolled in DR Congo, according to the World Health Organization chief. More than 1,400 cases and 438 deaths have been confirmed in the country. There are currently no approved vaccines or treatments for the strain of the disease, which is highly infectious.
The clinical trial of 2 therapeutics began with the enrollment of the first patient. The partners trial will evaluate the monoclonal antibody MBP134 and the antiviral drug remdesivir alone and in combination.
A NASA-funded spacecraft has been sent into space to catch a falling telescope. The Swift Observatory detects some of the most powerful explosions in the universe, but is at risk of crashing back down to Earth in the coming months. The small space telescope will be intercepted by the Link craft with 3 robotic arms and try and lift it back to a safe orbit. The rescue mission, launched on Friday, has never been attempted before, and space scientists say it is high risk. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have kicked off their rumoured wedding celebrations at Madison Square Gardens in New York City. High-profile guests of the couple have been spotted in formal attire. Aerial footage showed a stream of black SUVs pulling up to the venue, with guests dropped off under a white canopy tent. Media speculation has dubbed the event both a pre-party and possible rehearsal dinner. Around 1,000 guests are expected at the event. And a UK running club has attempted to inch its way into the record books, with 10 members squeezing into a giant 60-foot caterpillar suit to complete a half marathon in Derby. They're hoping the stunt earns them the Guinness World Record for the fastest half marathon in a 10-person costume. The 10 members of the Tutbury Runners completed Derby's half marathon in 2 hours, 8 minutes and 51 seconds. They are now awaiting official recognition from Guinness World Records.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
All right, thank you, Simon. Well, stepping in for sports now, Nigeria's The Tigers have ended Guinea's 4-game winning streak, securing an important back-to-back victory in Group C at the FIBA World Cup qualifiers in Luanda, Angola. The senior men's basketball team secured a dramatic 80-79 win over the Guineans. Guinea led by 6 points after the third quarter, but the Tigers clawed their way back to win by 1 point. RSA Hossam Abdul Magrid scored the decisive penalty as Egypt beat Australia 4-2 in penalties after they finished level at 1-1 following extra time this evening to reach the World Cup last 16, a tense affair in which Egypt and their off-color captain Mohamed Salah wasted the better chances, ended 1-1 after 120 minutes in Texas. Now we see Ghana's coach there, Carlos Perez, and captain Jordan Ayew are leaning on tournament experience to face Colombia in the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The round of 32 scheduled for 2:30 a.m. The critical knockout clash will take place at Arrowhead Stadium in the United States. Anime news again. Another batch of 266 Nigerians evacuated from South Africa arrived Lagos aboard an Air Peace charter flight as the ongoing evacuation exercise continues. And Inspector General of Police Olatunji Disu was visited Osun State, where he warned residents against all forms of violence ahead of the governorship elections. And that's it on the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams from me and the team right here on Channels HQ. Have a good night.